In this video I'm going to show you how to make jump up like SKANTIA. So we've remade the track YOYO BOP by SKANTIA, and to make this I've used my Jump Up DNB sample pack. There's a link to that down below, and if we go for 100 likes in this video, that would be insane. We're going to look at the drums, then the basses, and then a bit of the vocals and a bit of the effects. Now the track is in 175 BPM, and then for the notes range we're using around the D area, as you can see on the screen right now. So let's start with the drums. Make the first 2 bars of the drums, because the rest is pretty much just copy and pasted. So I've just deleted them all, now we're going to recreate it. So we're starting with jump up kick 10, which sounds like this. And this is just going on the very first beat of the drop. And then if we switch to step mode, we can see more grids. Let's just zoom in a little bit more. We put it on the first beat of the second bar, and then we put it on the third beat of the second bar, and then move it across halfway. So we're getting the normal drum bass pattern in the second half, and then we're actually missing a kick drum from the first half. So we get something that sounds like this. Now we're going to layer it with kick 04. So if we go to channel 2, which this is on, I've just got an EQ on it, and this is just some fuddiness high end. So if we just pop this right under the first kick drum, it just makes it sound like this. Now we want to add a few post-processing things to the kick drum. So I've added this Fruity Blood overdrive on these settings, and then that's it. And now we get this. So it sounds really aggressive. Now let's look at adding a clap. So we're going to use Jump Up Clap 11 with a bit of the out there. And then I'm just using the inbuilt fade feature of FL Studio to make it shorter. So I can just go like this, and it just makes it a bit shorter. And then we can just copy this across so it's happening every other beat, like this. And then I thought that that clap didn't have enough high range, so I've layered it with Jump Up Clap 14, which I've moved up 6 semitones and then dragged the out pretty much all the way around, just to make it snappier, and we get this sound. Now we've also got some post-processing on this, so we've got a Camel Crusher on Annihilate mode, and then I put this DS on it. I'm not sure if it's actually doing anything, but it was to not make it so harsh on the ears. So it goes from this to this. Just a bit more aggressive. Now you're going to be shocked by this, but the drums are actually really simple. We've only got one other element, and this is a hi-hat. So we're using Jump Up Hat 09, and I put it up 3 semitones, and it sounds like this. This is pretty aggressive as well. That's because it's got a decapitator on it on this setting, so I've just turned it up to almost 4. And this literally just goes underneath the kick drum, and then in between the 2 claps here, and then underneath the kick drum again, in between 2 claps, like that. So we get this. And that is the drums complete. We just copy this over here, here, and then slightly switch it up here because we got a little transition phase for the last bar after 8 bars. Now I just want to pause the video for a second to show you my Music Production Academy. It's basically a place where you can learn everything about music production, get one-to-one feedback on your tracks from me, and also help releasing your music. If you're interested in something like that, it's the second link down below. More info on that page. Now let's look at the basses. So we're going to go through 4 different basses for this. We've got the talking bass, and of course the sub bass. We've got the reverbed bass, and then we've got the 808 bass. So I'll play them for you. The talking bass with the sub. Yeah. Then we've got the reverb bass with the sub layered as well. And then finally this 808 bass here without the sub bass underneath it, because it's already a low end sound. And then of course we've got the melody it's playing. So let me show you the melodies first. So the talking bass looks like this here and this here. We're just on step mode for this, and we're looking at the whole 4 bars section here. So that's the first bar and the third bar. The reverb bass looks like this on the second bar and the 4th bar, and the 808 bass looks like this on the 3rd and 4th bar, there and there. And then the sub bass just goes underneath everything apart from the 808. So what I'm going to do now is recreate the talking bass. So this is the sound that I've created. So let's initialize this patch. So all we have is this sound currently. Now let's grab our favorite wavetable basic shapes, go down to -2, and then change it to position 2 so we get this sound. And then that's all we need for the oscillators, surprisingly. So let's go to filter now, go to MISC, and then we want to go to Formant 2. And now what we want to do is turn this cutoff down to around about 38-ish. We want to turn this res up a little bit, and we want to turn the drive up a touch as well. So we get this sound. You can hear that talkingness coming out already. Now let's go to the LFO 1, turn it to trigger mode, drag the LFO onto the cutoff. And then we can hold Shift and Alt and click, and it'll make the cutoff go both ways. And this will get that weird sound that we're after. You hear how it's like talking? And we can change this cutoff level as well to make it more or less aggressive. So I'm just going to keep it around 80. Now let's move to the effects tab because we want to beef this sound up. So let's try adding a hyper. Just turn the mix down a bit. Let's add a distortion and we'll put it on diode 2. Next we'll add a compressor and we're not going to multiband it. We're just going to turn the gain up about halfway. Now we'll add an EQ just to boost some of the high ranges. It's just like this. Very lightly done. Nice, we're liking that. And then finally, let's add a phaser. But we don't want it to sound crazy like that, so we'll just turn it down to maybe like 35. Maybe a little bit less. There we go, and there we've got that sound. But we're not done with it yet. We can now do some extra post-processing bits, which I'll show you. So we've started by adding a Valhalla room just on these settings, and that's just a reverb. And then we've added the 4, 5, 6 demo preset on these settings, which is just in the color tab. And then we've EQ'd out the low end at 166 Hertz. So we've got that sub bass to come in. And then we've obviously sidechained it to our drums and added a little Pro L, just a limiter. So let's play it. And then finally, the last thing we've done is we've got a little bass reverb channel here with just a reverb and an EQ on it. And this is just adding a little bit of extra reverb down here, as you can see. Just to bring the sounds out a little bit more and make it more wide. Now let's have a look at our sub bass underneath it. And this is coming directly from the Jump Up DNB pack. It's sub number 2. Looks like this. And it's proper aggressive, this sub bass. And it's also got this waves plugin I like using on 69 frequency because that's where the D that's where the D hits. I just realized how weird that sounds, but it's all music, I promise. And then we get this really aggressive sound that's also sidechained. So let's play these together now. And it sounds really sick. So on top of this, we've got these other 2 basses, and this is the first one. And both of these are actually from my sample pack as well, the Jump Up one. So this is the Jump Up Wobble Queen, and we're just using it as a stab. So I've just changed it to a stab bass basically, and had a little fiddle around with some of the elements to get this sound. So feel free to copy this or just get the pack, grab the preset, and then change a couple of these bits around so it matches. It's got all this post-processing on it as well. And this is on the mastered tune here. So LF2 is just here on the master tune. Global on 4. The way SKANTIA's got this sound crazy. It's just a load of reverb basically. So if I grab the post-processing on this, you can see I've got Valhalla Room on some mad settings. And then I've got this Camel Crusher coming on after the reverb, which is just weird, but it works. And then of course the EQ cutting out the lows at 198 for the sub bass. And then I just whacked a Pro MB, a multi-band on it, on these settings, just as I thought it added to it. This is how it sounds raw. Reverb. Camel Crusher. A slight filter on it as well at the 78% range, because I didn't want those harsh sounds coming through. And then the crazy pattern, of course, with the same sub bass underneath it. And then finally, we've got this 808 that comes in here. Which sounds awesome. And this is just literally the Jump Up Speedy one taken from the pack, and it sounds great. So it's just this one here on these settings. And then finally, I did do like a bit of an intro and outro to it. They're called like spoken word, cinematic, movie dialogue vocals. So you basically just got to search that on the internet somewhere, and you eventually find some vocals like this if you want to try and find some yourself. Splice used to have a load, but I don't know if they do anymore. I don't know if they got like done for copyright or whatever for them, but I've still got a bunch of them. So I found this one.
Our radar's picking up 2 strange bodies.
I thought it was pretty cool, and then I put this one at the end as well.
They're being controlled somehow.
And what I did is just drag these to make them fit into the pre-drop. So the pre-drop is a whole bar long, and then the vocal starts talking 2 steps before it, just so it like nicely transitions into it, and then it stops just before. So I've like dragged it just before, and then the drop happens. There's not even a snare or anything before the pre-drop. It's literally just the vocal. I did try adding some like robotic stuff to it. So there's this Vocodex on FL Studio that's free, I think, part of it, and you can get like this robot setting here, but it sounded stupid. Yeah, that didn't really work. I tried layering it as well underneath it, and it just didn't really sound good. So I don't really know how to get it to sound cool like Skantia did, but I think it sounds pretty cool anyway. And then in terms of effects, we've just, again, got like a little riser thing that I just put in for the purposes of the build up. And then I think we've got like a little bit in the drop here, 2 bars in, that you can try and copy. And they're from the rollers pack. And that's it, that's everything. So let's hear what the final product sounds like.
Our radar's picking up 2 strange bodies.
Big shout out to Kev for the video suggestion. This was a sick one. I really enjoyed making this. And if you've got any suggestions yourself, please leave them down below. Obviously, I can't make a video on every single one, but I do try and I do see every comment. So I'll do my best to recreate these tracks. And if you want to get the Jump Up DNB sample pack and support the channel and also help take your Jump Up music to the next level, then link down below, first link to grab it. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.